We're live. What's up, guys? What is up? Welcome back to Deck Talk Podcast. And boy, do we got a show for you. If you don't know it, I am Colin Burnett.
And I am Norman Lee. Yeah, that's right, Colin. We have a heck of a show tonight lined up for y'all. But first, this episode is brought to you by Bruiser Baits. Fish the best. Baits made right here in the USA. Who knows what fishermen want more than fishermen? Who knows what fishermen need more than fishermen? Family owned and operated, they continuously strive to produce the best premium quality baits that are proven to put fish in your boat day in and day out. Helping the beginner angler catch more fish and the seasoned tournament angler put more cash in the pocket. Fish the best, made right here in the USA. Check their full selection of baits, tackle, apparel, and accessories out at www.bruiserbaits.com and www.bassaddictiongear.com. Make sure to use discount code DECKTALK10. Again, that's bruiserbaits.com and bassaddictiongear.com. And hey, don't forget that discount code for your instant savings.
That's right, man. That is right. That is some of the best baits that we have been slaying some Chickamauga and Nickajack bass with. But guys, I know y'all come here and we always have a blast. But today we have a good buddy of ours that is on, and I tell you to when I first met this Ryan, we I met him at Jack's Bait and Tackle, and just talking to him about fishing, you can tell that he actually knows what he's talking about, and he's just not just out there just a worm chunker. So he today we're going to find out a little bit of stuff and maybe get some tips and tricks and stuff out of him. Maybe if we can, we might be able to talk him into doing something. But guys, if you do not know Ryan Godsey, right here in the center of us is Ryan Godsey. What's up, brother?
What's going
What's up,
on?
guys? How are y'all?
Man, living the dream. Now we
Yes,
got you
sir.
on here. We've had you on here before, but it was during a special podcast that we done at Jack's for their anniversary. And so we
Mm-hmm.
only got to spend what about maybe 10, 15 minutes to have you on here. So now we're actually going to get to have the full podcast devoted to you. So
The
I'm ready to
full
rock and roll,
enchilada
brother.
with Ryan Godsey. The full enchilada tonight. We'll know all
That's
the
it.
facts, all the ways to catch fish out here in Southeast Tennessee, and all his little secrets, and anything he's willing to give up. Right?
It's a little bit sneaky there. You
I
try
know
to
you're
get
right. So
everybody. Everybody knows about me catching them down on Nickajack, and the only crazy part is y'all think that I would know a little bit more about Chickamauga, but Chickamauga's my worst nightmare. Every time we go there, Chickamauga has been probably
It
my
eats
worst
your lunch,
tournament
doesn't
every
it?
year.
Right.
I tell you
Every
what.
time we go there.
Yeah, Colin talked a little bit about knowing you for quite some time, and I haven't known you for near as long as Colin. For the last 3 years. I think I met you maybe about 2.5 years ago. Once I got here permanently up in this
Hmm.
area, but I learned pretty quick over the couple of years that I actually got to know you pretty good. That you can flat out catch them, dude. Flat out catch them. One of
Thank
one
you.
of our one of our many local hammers that we have floating around here in the Southeast Tennessee area. So hats off to you, dude.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's it. Hey, real quick, Ryan, I don't want to cut you off, but we got some good friends of ours that is watching. Gino and Michael Lindell they're from Florida. So we
Yeah.
thank y'all for coming on, guys. But we want to it's glad to see y'all on here, especially after the hurricane coming through.
Yeah.
So I know that if you're on here, that y'all are doing well. So thank you for coming on, and y'all stay safe down there, brothers.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah,
Amen on
So,
that one.
but all right, Ryan, you ready for this, brother?
let's have some fun, guys. Me and Colin have talked about this, and Norm, and we have talked about getting me on this podcast, having a podcast just to sit down and talk. And I
Yeah.
mean, I have been very ready for this.
Oh,
I was gonna do on the water podcast tonight and decided not to.
that
I
would have been
decided
so
to
cool.
not go to Nick and Jack. I was gonna fish the Thursday nighter, but it started at 6 o'clock, and I'd have been going down the lake at while y'all are sitting there going, "What's Ryan doing?" He's running by everybody.
Yeah,
Burning
yeah,
gas and catching bass. That's
yeah,
my
That's
yeah.
right.
live by.
So, hey, but I still want to know. Norman hasn't showed me this, but I'm wondering, have you been able to catch a fish going 70 yet?
I've caught one. It tried to jump out of my live well. The live well come open. I jumped on the live well.
Oh man.
Nah, I'm playing, guys. No, the only thing is, I got the new boat, guys, and we're going to talk about that here a little bit later.
Oh, and
But this boat, it flies, and I've not caught one going that fast, but it gets me to where I'm going when I need to get there.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, and I give Norman a hard time, which Norman, as the more time that we spend fishing together, I've noticed that Norman's not quite pushing the 70 anymore. He's kind of backed it down, but
I tell you what, there's got that dollar bill for that gas tank goes up about 50% when you peg that gas pedal versus running at a
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
throttle.
yeah. So,
But you know what? Not to cut you off, but back in the day when I first started competitive bass fishing, I used to be balls to the walls 24/7, and whether I was practicing or in a tournament, and I learned pretty quick that it eats into your dollar bill when you're trying to put all the money you have into the fishing aspect of your tournaments, and like Colin said, you can't catch or find fish when you're practicing at 70. But I was that way once too, so I know what
yeah.
that's all about. Speed.
I mean, and guys, don't take me wrong. Ryan, I mean, I fished around Ryan. I've followed Ryan because I have not ever been in a boat. Well, I've been in boats that we've been able to run together. But I mean, he is a safe driver. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like he's anything driving stupid. But
Yeah, it's one of those things when I went from my older boat and having a 175 on it, and I was only running 60 to hitting that 73, 74 mile an hour mark. It made me open my eyes a little bit and
yeah,
realize, hey, a boat can easily have a malfunction and easily have something happen.
oh
And
yeah,
I pay attention more, and my hands are a little bit more steady, and I try to watch everything. I try to watch everybody around me.
Here,
And
here. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh no, I was just gonna say there's boats out there that's way faster than mine, and I've heard people say, "Well, I had 10 miles an hour on you." Well, you might have had 10 miles an hour on you, but was you going safe?
Yeah,
yeah,
here's the thing with all these bass boats nowadays that run 70, 75, 70 plus anyway. And I was actually told this by Earl Bance, which I knew Earl Bance back in the
Hmm.
day when he actually basically was the CEO of Triton. You know, I was pretty good friends with him. And I got my first Triton basically through Earl Bance. And he told me bass boaters today are not race boaters. They think they're race boat drivers, but to drive a bass boat at 70 plus, it's basically almost like flying a plane. You have to know what you're doing, and like you said, when you're driving a boat that fast, people have to realize you gotta start respecting the speed that boat could do, and know
yeah,
what that boat could do. And there's too many anglers out there that really don't know how to drive a race boat, but they have
Yeah,
them. And that's where it becomes dangerous is when anglers that don't know how to drive a race boat starts driving these bass boats. And that's why Triton started when Earl Benz was still with Triton before it got sold back in the day. He was actually starting to design the boats to actually slow down a little bit because they were getting way out of control.
yeah. So We already got some questions coming in for you, Ryan.
Oh,
But let's talk a little bit about what tournament series that you fish, so people
yeah.
can
So
kind of know your
I actually
background and
fish.
stuff. So
Yep. So I started fishing professional tournaments at 16 as a co-angler fishing the volunteer division BFL. So it's all East Tennessee stuff. Super cool guys. I learned a lot. They become family. And so I finished second in one of the BFLs out of the back of the boat. And that made me decide, hey, I want to step up to be a boater. So I ended up starting to fish the BFL's volunteer division as a boater. But this year I stepped up. I paid my dues. I started fishing Toyotas. But I stepped up and fished them as a co angler because I needed a little bit more learning experience.
yeah,
And the learning experience you get as a co angler is super more,
yeah,
it's respectful because last year and the year before that, I fished the Bassmaster Opens as a co angler and I got drew out with a bunch of the best guys on the water and they taught me a bunch. Also, I fished the ABA, American Bass Anglers Association, a super good group of guys. Uh, they put that tournament on. Uh, East Tennessee is the one I fish. We fish Nickajack, Chickamauga, and Watts Bar. No, did we go to Watts Bar? No, we didn't go to Watts Bar this year. I'm trying to remember where I went. I fished
you
this
said
year. I
what
actually,
part?
I think we did go to Watts Bar, and I didn't have one
Yeah,
of the
because
best tournaments.
we was gonna
We
do the
put in
Deer
at,
Pro. Yeah,
yep, we put in at Arrowhead Resort.
yeah, in
The
Spring
first time
City.
I ever put in there. Yep, first time I ever put in there. And then I didn't have the best tournament. Ended up finishing like eighth. But this year in all my tournaments, and it's crazy to think about this. A kid my age is fishing 40 plus tournaments a year.
That's a lot.
I'm glad the season's almost over.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like you and you say that, and it's no slouch to you for saying, "Hey, I'm ready for it to be over," because it's like I look at it like you got like a high school baseball player. They go
Hmm.
through college, they play a little bit more games, and then college they get drafted, and first thing they do is they put them in rookie ball, but they only play them maybe 75 games, and
Hmm.
then each that's a triple A or double A, single A, triple A, and all that. They bump them up, but that first rookie year, like going into the major leagues, that's what I mean they talk about. Man, even
Yeah.
though we're doing what we love, it's just draining to be able to go out and do it over and over. Is that you just got to condition yourself to be able to do it. So, but
Yeah.
with that being said, I wanted to also when you said that you've done like the co-angler parts of it, that speaks highly of yourself because a lot of people like I don't want to be a co-angler. I want to be the boater, and that screws them out of a fishing career because they're having to pay, which they're paying more, but
Hmm.
so they're going through money more. But how you're taking that couple years as a co-angler learning, I mean, you're learning from the best in the business,
Yeah.
and uh, so I mean, hats off to you, man,
Yeah.
for realizing, hey, I need to. I'm where I want to be, but I'm not really at the quality that I want to be at.
I'll
So
tell you
Yeah.
what too. I'll tell you what too. A lot of big names that's household names today in the sport of bass fishing started out on the back of the boat, and I'll throw one name out just because he's the first one that pops into my head. And a lot of people hear the name and they're like, "No, he never fished from the back of the boat." But when Scott Martin first started
Hmm.
his professional career in the FLW tour, the first couple years, he started out as a co-angler on the back of a pro's boat.
yeah,
Yeah.
And that's hard for a lot of people to believe, but yeah, Scott Martin, even who he was back then, with Roland and all, he actually started out as a co-angler. where he probably had every means possible to start out on the front of the boat, but he made that decision, and probably his dad had a lot of influence on that decision as well, to have him start
Yeah.
out on the back, and look where he is today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to say something else, my dad fished the BFLs as a co-angler for like since 2009, and my dad has been a big influence on me because of what he has done. He
Yeah.
fished the ABAs before they got a little bit out of style, and I'm not saying ABA is a smaller tournament. I mean, this year we had a little bit less boats than we normally have, but I mean, we picked up last year we had 8 boats at most at some tournaments in the
Wow.
ABAs. This year
That's
we
not,
had, I think the max we've had right now is almost 35 boats,
yeah. And that's a good little
and
tournament.
it is, and I can go into a little bit more if y'all want to talk about it about my last 2 years, the ABA going to Nickajack, which y'all
Yeah.
know a little bit about that, which is super cool for me. But we talked about Watts Bar a second ago.
Yeah.
So talking about my dad, I'm gonna throw him out there a little bit. I know he's watching. He's probably upstairs watching right now.
No, he already got off. He's like, I ain't watching.
No, I'm done. He's talking about me. I'm done.
That's right.
No.
Yeah.
So my dad fished as a co-angler since 2009. Never stepped up. Never wanted to be a boater. Never wanted to pursue the boater pursuit.
Yeah.
I started fishing at the age of 6. I started traveling at the age of 16, which I traveled with my dad since he started the BFLs and fished off the bank, and everybody knew me as the bank kid. Well, I finished that second place, and I told myself the next year, hey, I'm going to step up. Well, my dad this year fished 2 divisions. He fished the BFL Volunteer Division, and he fished the ABA East Tennessee Division. And after so long, my dad finally got a win out of the back of boat at Watts Bar,
Heck yeah.
and it was super cool for me. I had a bad tournament, but I mean I was in my feelings a little bit because I needed a good tournament to stay in the points. But I mean it was so happy just to see my dad finally win one
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
and
That's awesome.
be able to
Yeah.
be there and
Well, and the
celebrate with
thing
him.
is like when y'all were there at Watts Bar, it was fishing tough.
Yep, yeah.
And so for him to pull that out, I mean, that says something in itself. So, but
Yeah, I sat on a bedfish on Watts Bar for almost 3 hours because it was the biggest fish I've seen all day, and I only had 2 fish in the boat. And I'm like, this fish will win me the tournament right here because it was 5.5 plus,
Yeah.
yeah,
and it had a 3.5 pound male with it. I'm like, if I can get these two to bite, I'll have a good tournament.
yeah,
Did not happen.
no. Now, I'm going to ask a couple questions real quick
Okay.
from our from the viewers. Michael Lindell says everybody's crying about forward-facing sonar. What is your opinion? It uses up opinion on it uses up in your tournaments. How does it? I guess like how does it affect? Is it?
I've got it on my boat. I have it on my boat, and I'm still trying to learn it. So I'm not one of them guys that stare at it all the time because I still don't know if it's a bass or if it's a catfish or a crappie. But I still pay attention to it because yeah, it's one of those things that can help you either win a tournament or
Yeah,
lose a tournament. But at the same time, it can tell you if you're throwing a swim bait out there and you're fishing a ledge on Chickamauga and you're watching that bait and you're watching how those fish react, that's going to tell you, hey, should I slow down and throw a Carolina rig or a shaky head
exactly.
or a big worm?
Yeah.
Well,
But I understand where everybody's coming from, and to be honest, if I wasn't able to get my hands on it when I did, I don't think I would have it now because I'm still at the point to where it's like, does it help me or does it not help me?
yeah, and but the thing is, and I think a lot of people that's really griping about it is like, let's say this last tournament with bass with the elites,
Hmm.
everybody was looking down at the screen.
Yeah,
Everybody, but you're at a
I
small
sat I
boat.
sat there and watched that. Yeah, I sat there and watched that one because one of my best friends, Kyle Welcher, actually won AOY up there.
Oh yeah,
So I was cheering for him super hard because it was super cool because I fished with him before he ever went professional. He fished a tournament down here. He lived in Cleveland, and we fished a tournament together, and we
Yeah,
become
I ran
friends.
into him quite a few times in Cleveland. So
Yep.
like,
And just being able to watch them guys, and I understand where people are coming from when it comes to staring down at the forward-facing sonar every time. And that's like I listened to a podcast today of Luke Duncan, and they were talking. It was Wesley Strader and Brad Knight, and they were talking about the way people just look down and they're never looking up, and they could run into people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, but I don't know. Yeah, that could happen, but like the likelihood of it really happening is, I don't know how
Very,
likely that.
yeah.
But I mean, but I think like for a viewer wise, they don't like seeing people staring down. But I
Yeah.
think what will make it better for the viewers and for bass is if they have the camera guys on the boat that's on the back of the guy. So have the guy explaining what he's doing,
hmm
and they can show his
Yeah.
screen. They
Yeah.
done it. They done it at the classic. They can
Yeah.
show his screen.
Exactly.
So and
If y'all
have him
remember at the
explain like
classic,
what,
yeah.
huh?
If you remember at the classic, Humminbird had the Mega Live that would pop up on during the live video,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
it showed Gusty Jeff
Gutsy. Yeah,
Gustafson throwing his little Demiki rig out there and catching them, and
yeah.
it was super cool because I mean a
You're
lot of
seeing
people didn't see
that,
that,
Yeah.
right?
and now you're getting to see that, and
Exactly.
it sucks because a lot of the other tournaments don't do that now.
Yeah.
But if Bass would do that for every one of the tournaments, I think they would have a bigger response
Oh
to
Exactly.
it.
yeah,
And
and
I'm
because
glad you brought that up, Colin, too, because when they have a cameraman on the back of their boat, typically the top guys in the standings in that particular tournament is going to have a cameraman.
hmm
But when they go live to that camera, the cameraman actually informs the angler that we are live now, so the angler knows. And the cameraman, a lot of times when the angler's not saying anything, he'll say, "Tell us a little bit about what you're doing." You'll actually hear the cameraman behind the camera say to the angler, "Explain what you're doing," or talk a little bit. But with your point, Colin, it might make a little bit better viewing for your fans that are actually
yeah,
watching the tournament, if because they always do that. The angler always kind of talks about what he's doing, what he's throwing, trying to promote his
right.
sponsors, what he's
But
throwing. Have that
but
cameraman go up there as he's fishing because he can talk about what he's looking at while he's fishing, just like he's talking about the bait he's throwing.
yeah.
Have the
Well,
cameraman
see the
kind of
thing, like
focus in on the screen as the angler's explaining, and that's not only going to show to the viewers and make it more interesting to watch the tournaments, but it's also going to help your average weekend tournament angler be able to now get out to the water and kind of know a little bit more about what he's doing because he was actually told how the pros actually out there doing
hmm
it, what they're looking for, what they're looking at on their screen. Plus, of course, it's going to make it for a little bit better for the fans to watch too, because now they're explaining what they're doing when they're staring down at that thing.
right, right. So I mean, but like what Ryan was talking, it wasn't a camera shot like from the back of the boat. You actually seen like let's say Gussie was the one who they had it mainly
hmm
on.
Yeah,
You seen like Gussie looking down, but then at the bottom of the screen they had the like his screen. Somehow they had it linked in to where you were seeing what he was seeing.
oh
And
yeah, yeah.
I think
Like,
it's
kind
that
of like a
new
split
One Bark
screen.
network.
Yeah, like on
uh,
like a split screen,
yeah,
right?
I think
Yeah.
you're right. You are right on that.
Yeah, I think that sends a GPS signal to any of the units, which I have on this boat. I have Humminbirds with a Garmin Live Scope, but I mean, I only have a Live Scope because of that. That's all I need it. That's all I want it for. So I still run the 2D up front to still run the depth and everything like that.
Yeah. So another question is, if you could only throw one bait, what would it be?
Oh, you know, it's that's a really easy question, but it's one of the first baits I ever picked up, and caught a bunch of fish on, and I'm gonna have to say a
Yeah,
Texas rig Zoom brush hog.
yeah.
Hmm.
The Gino says, I mean, because I've got probably about 5 or 6 questions right here that
Yeah, go
we
ahead.
were just chit chatting. So, but Gino says I need to come up and fish out of those or out of these so-called boats y'all use. He's a kayak fisherman.
Yeah,
So,
Hey, come on up and we'll take you out of this boat. We'll have some fun in this boat.
yeah, and
Gino
he said,
is one of our Spear Point performance hook teammates, and
yeah,
he's actually on the kayak tour.
Oh,
yeah,
sweet. That's super. That's a cool thing to. That's a cool thing that I see now
and
is kayak guys.
he smashed them here up in Lacrosse here. I think it's a week and a half ago. He
Ooh.
smashed them. He also says, Ryan, I have a question for you. I do kayak tournaments, but if I want to step my feet into the boat world, how would you suggest to start?
So, I mean, I had the opportunity of my dad having a boat, and that was a good part. Uh, it, to be honest with you, I wouldn't. If I was going to step to go in and buy a boat now, I wouldn't buy a brand new one to start out with. I would
Yeah,
buy a used boat.
yeah, because
Uh,
you're gonna beat the crap out of that thing.
yeah, and I mean, I've had several boats since being able to since I got my boater's license and everything like that. Got my driver's license to go. I've had a Stratus, I've had a Procraft, I've had a Skeeter, and now I have this boat I have now, which is a Camus, which I've had, and they've all been older used boats. But this is actually when I got this boat here, the Camus. This is my first brand new one, like off the showroom floor.
Yeah. So, but would you suggest for him to like, because he's down in Florida, but
Yeah.
would you suggest like for him to go and get into like some of these little dog fights, little 3 hour tournaments, just and
Oh,
get with a partner and stuff like that? And,
yes, absolutely. And any young anglers that are listening, that's how I started. Like my dad, like I think I was 2 years old. At 2 years old, my dad was taking me to the Thursday nighters, Wednesday nighters with my mom, and I was sitting in the center of the boat watching them fish. And I mean, I have guys that text me now that want to fish that because they want to get into it. They want to have fun. They
yeah,
want to learn about the tournament fishing and stuff like that. And it's super cool to me that people are texting me to go out with because I'm such a young angler and I'm
yeah,
not somebody known, which is kind of hard for me to fish a weeknight dogfight because it's normally me and my dad. But when my dad can't make it, I usually try to find somebody to fish with, and it's usually I have a my neighbor is that was actually my high school fishing partner. If it ain't my dad, it was either him or
I know
one
I
of my
don't get a phone
teammates.
call.
I don't know when you're working. I never know when you're working.
So,
I
but
think Colin works more than anybody around here.
I'm gonna
Right?
work 3 days a week and fishing the
I gotta
rest.
work 5.
He didn't
But
just get on. He took the day off, but usually when we actually get ready to come on live here, he's just getting back from a 24-hour run slinging little
and,
devies. So
and I'm chugging down some energy drinks just to make it
he's
through.
chugging down bucked up energy drinks like they're going out of style just to keep himself awake.
Yeah.
I understand that. I've
Uh,
had some tournaments where I've had to do that.
And
Aaron Benson says, I
that's
don't get one either, Colin.
integrity day.
Aaron, I don't want to show you none of my holes, man.
So, and also we got Kim is on. So,
Hello,
Kim,
Miss Kim.
so, uh, but let's see. Another question is the AquaView live camera allowed during tournaments? Now, I was not allowed to use them back then. Uh, then can they use them today? That was from
I think
John.
they can. I think they can use them in practice,
Yeah,
but during the tournament they cannot use them. I don't have one. I've never. I think my grandmother bought one back when I was a young kid to go
It's a
down
cool
to
little deal, though.
Nickajack.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember going to Nickajack, and the first time I ever looked at it, I think there was like an 8 pound bass swim by. It was
yeah.
like giant, and that was the first time I've ever seen a huge fish, and I was like, throw there, throw there, throw there.
Yeah, but then that as you get older, you see them swimming like that. You're like, that one's not biting.
Yeah, you're like, you see them on live scope swim by, and you throw at them, they keep swimming. You're like, mm.
Yeah, here, a little quick story about a camera. I never actually personally had one. I actually borrowed one time. Of course, one of the lakes I guided on back in Florida, do a lot of Carolina rigging over brush piles, 25, 28 foot of water. And I borrowed a camera one time, and at the end of the cable or whatever that you send down is actually like an imitation bluegill with the camera lens sticking out of it. So they
Yeah,
put
that's the way my grandmother's was.
yeah, and again, it was an older model, so I don't know what the newer models are today. But you drop it down, I guess the bluegill was so it didn't spook the fish. It looked like what's supposed to be down there, I guess. I
Yeah.
dropped
Yeah,
that thing down, and I'm trying to see the pattern that fish use when they're hanging out on brush piles, so I kind of helped me boat position myself for later on. And I dropped down there and I'm watching all the fish kind of swimming in sequence, almost like a Ferris wheel around this tree pile. And they're like swimming in a circle, like lined up. And all of a sudden I'm looking and I see a bass that appears to be probably around 10 pounds. And I see this bass coming over to the camera, which again, remember, is in a bluegill. And all I seen was this big ass mouth open and then everything disappear. And I'm actually like the darn bluegill
You
actually
like Jonah.
ate the camera lens. And this is I'm not fudging this story neither. This is a true story. That bass actually sucked in that bluegill that had a camera lens in it. Of
Did you
course,
catch it?
no, I mean I got it away, but remember this is a borrowed camera, and the camera I don't know how much they cost back then, but they
that
weren't.
camera went into that brush pile, and he was like, "Do not, don't crack, don't bust."
I,
Luckily, I
I
guess
would have let that sucker choke that thing, and I
He
would have
pulled
got.
him up.
I would have done
after it was
everything I
over with,
could to get a net.
after it was over with, I thought about that. I mean, what if I let her swallow just to? Could you imagine bringing that bluegill up on a camera lens? But I guess they're on about it 80, 90, 100 test cable. I guess is what they're
Yeah.
on. So
Yeah,
it'd be almost impossible to break it. But I'm like, damn. I'm like, I don't know if I need to tell that story or not because it doesn't really sound believable. But trust me on that one. That
No,
was that's
I
all back.
believe that.
I
I'm like,
believe it.
Hey,
I've seen them come up to those cameras and look at it like they're gonna eat it.
oh yeah,
yeah.
even like who was it? I think it was Tactical Bassin had a video that they had their GoPros down in the water, and the bass was coming up checking it out, and they were actually like just nosing it. They wasn't like trying to eat it, but they were nosing it.
Hmm.
But we got another question. Michael Wendell, he says, I'm a fire starter. If the three of you were to go in your own boat and fished a three-boat tournament on Chick tomorrow, who would win?
I kicked their asses. No, I'm just kidding. Ryan would probably kill both of us.
The sad part is I've not been on Chickamauga in probably about 2 months.
Well, it
Yeah.
might be safer.
No,
I'll say this.
I fished the CBA. Actually, I fished the CBA last month, and it was so bad. Uh, it was it was so hot that me and my co-angler, the boy that I fished with, actually pulled out a little bit early. We come home, we went and got something to eat, and we went down to Nickajack and fished the afternoon tournament and finished second.
Hey,
I remember that. I remember that.
Because Colin called me, he was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Resting." He was
Yeah.
like, "Why?" I'm like, "We fished CBA this morning." I was like, "But we left early." He goes, "What are you going to do?" I was like, "I'm going down to Nickajack fishing night tournament."
Yeah.
if we fish a catfish tournament right now, Colin would kick both of our asses.
Yeah, I've been tearing
Colin's on the
it.
catfish.
But I'll say this to Michael. I think on Chickamauga right now, I have the edge over them. But if we go to Nickajack,
Look for
Ryan's going
some
to take us.
charters, maybe,
Ryan's
dude.
going to take us
Hey,
there.
I'm competitive. I know.
Well, here's the part. Here's the part. Do y'all want to go to the upper end or do y'all want to go to the lower end of Nicky
That
Jack?
don't matter to you, Ryan.
Oh, well,
Give
I know.
right now, and
I know, Ryan.
I am putting this out there right now. Give me a pack of Bruiser Bait 10-inch curly tails and one pack of Bruiser Bait big nasties, and I'll kick both of your asses right now.
Nah.
I
And Norman,
guarantee it. I will.
nah,
Thanks, Michael. You did start a fire right here. I'll kick both of your asses
thanks,
right
Michael.
no,
now.
but Norman,
Now
I'll
it's
take
gonna.
the
Hey,
first.
hang on. Now it's gonna have to happen.
Yeah, it'll
We're
happen.
gonna have to do this. So it would be
Both
super
lakes.
cool.
Both lakes.
Yeah, there we go.
And
Yeah.
we'll film
Hey,
it. We'll put
let's do
cameras
this.
I was
over
gonna say
all
we'll
three
film
lakes.
it and put it on.
Yeah.
Hey, let's do this. Let's plan this out right now. We do Nickajack, 4 hours on Nickajack in the morning. We do a 9-hour tournament. 4 hours on Nickajack. It's on us to pull our boats out at the 4 hour mark, whatever we determine, whether it be 11 to whatever the 4 hour mark is. Pull our boats out, have an hour to get to
Harrison Bay.
Manga. But if you get there sooner, you start fishing. It's basically 4 hours on Nickajack, and then you go to Chickamauga and spend the rest of your 8 hours on Chickamauga, and you fish right till the deadline. And then everybody have a meeting place on the lake, and we're not putting anything live. We'll just do pictures that way, help promote catch and release as
Yep,
well.
we'll do the either Rapala scale or which I've actually I'm gonna order the Bubba scale here soon, but I know a lot of guys have the Rapala scale. We'll do the Rapala scale, 3 or 5 fish. That's up to y'all.
Yeah, that'll work.
Hey, but
If my fish bite on Nicky Jack, I ain't gotta catch them on Chick.
yeah, I'll tell you this. Hey, Norman.
Yeah,
Part of this rules. It's going to be an 8 hour tournament. But let's say I go to Nickajack and I'm like, I know I can go catch some fish on Chickamauga. So can I take like 3 hours on Nickajack and take
gotta stay
5 hours?
4 hours.
Hey,
That's the
I'm
rules.
just trying to help. I'm trying to help
You're
myself
just
out
trying to
because
get an added advantage against us.
well, I got to get an added advantage on Nickajack somehow because daggum Ryan, you don't realize what he's been doing.
Well, I know
That's
dummy.
why when
I
you
know
said
dummy.
that you'll
I know dummy. I'll take off less and follow his ass.
So here's the thing that I have a certain time on Nicky Jack where I can catch them,
yeah,
and I've been very lucky over the last few years to be able to catch a bunch of big fish down there. And I mean, there's a few guys down there that can catch them a little bit better than me
yeah,
during different times. But I think it's one of those time. I think it's one of those timing deals with the fish on Nicky Jack because I've seen it where it takes 28 pounds, 29 pounds, and the low I've seen it where it takes 8 pounds to win on Nicky Jack.
yeah.
But I've also seen it where it takes 7 pounds to win on Chickamauga, which I can actually accord to that. And I don't know if my mom or dad is watching, and they can put in the comments. I actually won a Northwest Georgia high school event my freshman year of high school with 7 pounds
Yeah.
on Chickamauga in February.
Yeah, Kim says you stopped by to see her between those tournaments when you done that. The
I
CBA.
did. I stopped in. She goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "It's too hot." She goes, "Too hot for what?" I said, "We fish CBA. We can't catch them. I can't catch them on Chick. We're going Nickajack."
Yeah. So let's see, and then we got Patty on. How you doing, Patty?
Hi, Patty.
So let's see. Says I like watching the Big Nasty on live scope. That's something. Big Nasty. What is 14 and a half inches, Norman?
14.25.
Two five.
The
Wow.
V1 is 14 and a quarter.
Yeah.
Now the V2, which is their new version of the Big Nasty, designed a little bit different. That's actually they have two. They have the 14-inch and the 10-inch.
Yeah.
But the original V1 is actually 14.25.
Yeah. So that was from Steve
One of the
Dial.
best big bass Carolina rig baits you could tie on, dude. It will slay. It will slay the tanks.
It will. And we got old Ricky Murphy on here. He says
Hello, Ricky.
he
What's up,
says
man?
Ryan, does the Ned rig work?
The Ned rig works, and everybody, and I can say this: the Ned rig works from, I'd say, Raccoon Mountain up, because from Raccoon Mountain up, there's not much grass. I mean, there's still grass, but it's not as bad on Nickajack.
Yeah.
But during the time that I throw a Ned rig, I've got away from it a lot during the summertime, which I shouldn't have. It's just part of. I mean, I've learned a few other things, and I wanted to try it. But I mean, the Ned rig works, and I know Ricky knows a little bit about it, about me throwing it down there and throwing it on Chickamauga. Me and Ricky's been in the boat before, and he knows I throw it a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Uh, John Pate says it's neat seeing the big nasty eating on camera, the live scope. Yeah, you're right, John, on that. It said Mike Lindell says when Norman left Placid, he left a void. We are all fighting for the top dog spot that he opened up when he moved. That's true. Everybody calls Norman. Even now, he hadn't even been on the lake in months or even almost a year at times, and people still calling him. Uh, yeah, Kim said she's back. Uh, Talking about Patty because I think she was out of town.
Patty went on vacation for a little bit and got away from us. She had to get away from all the craziness, and I think she got a little bit too far away and did not want to come back. But when she came back, she was greeted with open arms.
Aaron he's got a great idea. This
Aaron,
tournament.
it can't be Saturday. I gotta fish yours,
No,
so we're gonna make
he's not saying that. He's saying make that tournament just a one lure tournament.
Deal.
Hey, here's the thing. Break it down. Make it one lure tournament on Nickajack, and you could use a different lure on a Chickamauga.
But is it one lure that we all have to use, or is can Ryan use one? I use a different one, and Norman uses a different one, but we can only use that one bait. You see what I'm saying?
One bait per lake. You could use one bait on Nickajack, and when you go to Chickamauga, you could use the same bait if you want, but you have the option to use a different bait on Chickamauga.
I like that, but we got to schedule it for a good timing. And I've seen it where Chickamauga is going where Chickamauga can be really slow, and I've seen it where Chickamauga can be really good. I've seen it where Nickajack can be really slow and Nickajack can be really fast.
Yeah.
But we'd have to figure that out. Like figure out.
Yeah,
I think my season ends in like November. We can end it after that.
Yeah, well, definitely. I hate to pick when it's going to be good, but sometimes you got to. You want to be able to catch fish and catch fish in numbers when you do something like this. So we just got to kind of pick when the fishing's going to be the best on Nickajack and Chickamauga.
You know what we can do?
Show fish.
Let's do this. Let's meet up at Jack's Bait and Tackle when we decide to do this. And have Kim pick our one baits that we can do.
No.
So if this happens around the time it happens, I'm going in there a day before that and telling Kim what to pick me.
I'll go in there 2 days. I'll go in there 2 days before that.
No, you can't.
No, man,
you can't do that. I mean, but
so I can. So if it's scheduled like after so, y'all know when Nickajack is spilling, when they're always spilling water in the wintertime, when Chickamauga's actually lower in the winter pool area, Nickajack actually picks up a little bit because the current makes it a little bit better. Yeah. And I can say for firsthand over the last few years, when it got real swift, and I've done it for the last like 4 or 5 years.
Big
I
bites happen.
catch giants
Yeah.
down there that time of year.
Yeah, and that's one thing a lot of people don't realize is people go out on a place like Nickajack where pretty much typically you're always going to have some kind of current. But
Hmm.
people don't realize when you got the stiffer current almost to the point where you know, if you're trying to fish the edge, it's pretty much impossible because you're so stiff with the current. That makes for the best big bass bite. When the stronger that current flows, the better your big bass bite's going to be. Even to the point where it's almost out of control fishing wise with the current. But that's when the big bass.
I think Colin has seen me do it before. I do something very different than anybody else does. I can say down there, and I think me and Ricky fished a tournament together that I caught some bigger fish doing something that he didn't do. And when I showed him, when I kind of took him and done what I did, it opened his eyes up a little bit, which is super cool for me because I was like, I showed somebody something different. He showed me something different.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
let's see. Kim says, if someone is new to live scope, what is your suggestions for them?
Put a lot of time into going after it and using it. But to be dead honest with you, once you get it and once it gets into prime crappie season, go crappie fishing as much as you can because that makes you can be able to get close to your crappie and not spook them, but you can also watch the bait fall. You can mess with your settings and you can watch your bait fall and be able to be like, oh, that's what those look like, and this is what my bait looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And seeing
I'll
another
put it to
thing,
you just like trying to learn how to throw a new bait. And
yeah,
Hmm.
back in the day, back in Florida, you know, one of the baits that we flip all the time in that heavy grass is 1 ounce jigs. And a
Hmm.
1 ounce jig is very hard for somebody that's not used to flipping a jig or throwing a jig to learn how to fish. Because the 1 ounce jig's so heavy, when it hits the bottom, you lift up on it, it almost feels like a spongy sensation, like you have a bass sucking in every time. So, what I'll say about the live scope, no different than I've told young anglers, the best way to learn how to fish a bait that you're not confident in yet, and you want to build that confidence, you want to learn how to fish it, is hit the lake with nothing else in the boat but that bait, because it's so easier to go try to learn a bait and have all your other stuff at your disposal. You fish it for half an hour and you end up putting it down. That's not going to do you no good. The best way to learn how to fish a bait is to put time in with that bait. And live scope. Now I don't run live scope right yet, but I will tell you my feel and my opinion on that is it's no different from learning how to use live scope or if you're learning how to use a bait. Uh, don't do nothing but with the intent go out and put time in doing nothing but
yeah,
live scoping until you really get the feel for it. You just
yeah.
want to
Which
take time
I
doing it.
was watching a video and and then I ended up was talking to a couple people about the live scope, and they said like the best thing that they done was like go to a dock that has the columns going down into the
Hmm.
water, so you know, all right, you can see those columns, and so then you'll know, all right, that's 10 feet out. The other one is at 15 feet out or whatever, so you know, and you can compare your tossing to where
Cast.
you know that, so you can get because like we went out with Josh and he was like, "All right, there's a fish right here. Throw it out like 25 feet." And so I just pitch it out to what I thought was 25 feet. He's like, "Well, I guess you can reel it into 25 feet because I pitched it to about
You pitch
35."
about 35, 40 feet, and you're like, well, that was like, and that's one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is the you don't realize how far something is until
Yeah,
you start flipping at it and you're pitching at it. You could be looking at a fish that's 25 feet away, and you just flip over to it, and you don't realize you watch your jig fall, and it's like at 35, 40 feet, and you're like, whoa, that's
yeah,
you think you're at 25 feet, but it's not. You're
no,
actually past it by a mile.
yeah. So Mike Wendell says, "What is your future fishing goals, and where do you see yourself 5 years from now?"
Man, ever since I was in kindergarten, I have a teacher that still remembers this to this day. I've always said I wanted to be a professional angler, and a lot of people will ask her. Well, when they're around me, she still will tell people. I remember when he said he wanted to be a professional angler, and I want to be a professional angler. It's one of my dreams. Even if even if I don't, if I get to fish one season on a professional tour, that will make my dream,
Yeah,
because who knows what the year can hold. In 5 years, I'm hoping to be on a tour, being able to fish day in and day out. I'm hoping, but if in 5 years, if I'm still fishing local stuff and fishing the BFLs, AVAs, and Toyotas, this still makes my dream, because a lot of people don't realize the Toyotas is a professional tour,
yeah,
but you're not getting the TV time, you're not getting the promoting time. You're just getting to go out there and fish, meet new people, and have a super fun time out there with everybody on the water.
Yeah.
yeah. Now, is there difference? Uh, do you get how much like practice time do you get on a lake? Is it different than what they do on the elites?
It depends. I know a lot of guys will take a day or 2 days,
Yeah,
just just because they want to see where the fish are at. Because like if the Toyotas, I seen guys go for a week, but I've not been a boater in those yet, so I don't know exactly how many days I can get. I
Yeah.
think it's 3 days maximum
Yeah.
that you can fish and practice, and then you got the tournament. But I think in like the BFL stand for or the ABA stand for, we have. I think a lot of guys just fish a day or two.
yeah,
Now, one of the things, of course, when I fished it, basically it was the same tour, but it was called the Costa Series, and that's back
Hmm.
FLW was still running the tour.
Yep.
And when it was Costa, which unless they changed since it rolled over to MLF, I don't know that, but when it was the Costa Series, they had no stipulation on practice. If the angler wanted to show up a week and a half before the event started, they could fish basically all, the week and a half leading up to day one.
Hmm.
Um, and I used to do that on a lot of the bodies of water that I haven't been on before. When I leave Florida, is I'd actually take 1 week to go up and practice. Of
yeah.
course, 1 week didn't do me as good as if I spent 3 days when I was fishing them. That's
Yeah,
another.
I think a guy that spends a week out there is learning a little bit too much.
I
I
was about to
think
say,
a guy.
could it be too much on somebody to be
Yes.
spending that much time on it?
And
Like,
Yeah.
I'll tell you that from the experience of doing it, yes. And there's a point where you could actually, even if you don't know the body of water, you could actually spend too much time. And when you spend too much time, now you start thinking. Start thinking too much instead of just fishing basically.
yeah,
And I started learning from a lot of the big names that was fishing it at the time, like the Randall Tharps, the JT Kennys, and stuff like that. Of course, them boys being Florida boys, I've known them, followed them a lot, prior to when I was fishing them. And I
Hmm.
started listening to them guys, and they'd actually talk to me a few times and kind of help me to break down the lakes. And the biggest mistake I used to make when I first started fishing them is I would try to break down, if it was a big body of water I've never been on, I tried to break down the whole body of water in 3 days. And I said,
Yeah.
you just can't do that. You gotta section out an area and just focus on it, and that's what you
yeah.
stick with.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Like
That
with
was my biggest mistake I made. Is I'd end up running 20 miles there 20 miles there, 20 miles back, 20,
Yeah.
and you just can't do that and compete
No.
against them guys at that level, especially when you don't know the body of water.
Y'all want to hear something very crazy?
What's that?
So, my last 2 years as a boater, I have only went and practiced for one tournament, and that was Watts Bar 2 years ago. My first season as a boater, and I zeroed. I have not practiced for another tournament since. I've always just went on instinct, just to go out there and just go fishing. And
Yeah.
that's what I tell my co-anglers is, hey, I didn't practice. I've been here before this time of year, or hey, I've been here at this time, and I mean, we just go fishing, go have a good time. If we catch fish, that's a bonus. If we don't, still a good time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh, Kim says, I think that you should use a dock rod. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're still. I think she's still talking about the. Oh, for our tournament.
Yeah.
Ooh,
You gotta fill me in. What's a dock rod?
it's about a 3 foot kid's rod.
Oh, Snoopy rod.
Yeah.
There you go.
Me and the wife about 5 years ago done a pretty cool video.
She whooped him.
Well, I wouldn't say
She
I wouldn't say whoop. She caught
she
2 fish to my 9. But hey, you talk
she
about
whooped
fishing a
him.
Snoopy rod. I'd actually go to cast over there, and it ended up behind me. But
Yeah.
everybody, all of our viewers, if you want to see a
If
pretty
we do that, if we use Snoopy rods, I'm
We need
taking
to be
live
all in
bait.
the we all need to be in the same boat when we do that. I
Yeah,
think
Yeah.
yeah,
that would be fun.
yeah. We need to be in some. But I was gonna say to all our viewers, if you want to see a pretty cool video, go back to my YouTube channel, Normally Fishing, and watch that video. Me against my wife. She was
I'm gonna
actually
go
fishing
watch that tonight.
sponsored rods at that time, and I was fishing a Snoopy rod, and it's really a fun video. But we have a good time doing it. We have a good time rolling with it. But a
Yeah.
lot of it's
Yeah.
hilarious,
It was a
especially
good video.
especially watching
Uh,
me fish that dang Snoopy rod.
Brandon Heimer says, "What will Nickajack be like early March?
Early
Smallmouth pond."
March. It's going to depend on the water, what the water is doing. And I know what Brandon's talking about. They have a Northwest Georgia High School Anglers Association tournament
I
there,
kind of
and
figured
I
that's what
fish.
he was talking about.
Yep, and I fished those. I fished those from 8th grade all the way till I graduated, which is a super cool high school association here in Northwest Georgia. But Brandon, to answer your question, it depends on what the water is going to be doing.
Yeah.
If I see you
Kim just
laughing,
Kim just says, "I'll provide them."
it looks like we're doing it.
We're doing it.
It's on, man. It's gonna be a
It's going to
fun
be
video.
sponsored by Jack's Bait and Tackle. That video.
Yep, yep.
So
But Brandon, I think it depends on what the water's doing. Early March, those fish are going to be kind of get prepared. Like there's going to be some fish already spawning in March because I mean there's always early spawners when the water's a little bit cooler,
and the
but there's also going
smallmouth
to
will
be
spawn first though.
yep. So
So
the smallmouth will be up the river, and if they're moving a little bit of water, those fish are going to be in eddies and stuff like that.
yeah, he says he's debating on going all the way up from Marion County.
It
I'm
depends.
saying if I would not do it if I don't know that I can go catch them because
Yeah,
that's a lot of gas that you're going to be burning.
yeah.
Here's
So
the thing.
I fished a tournament down there out of Cave Lake, which is right there beside Nickajack Dam. Me and a buddy of mine, I practiced 2 days before it. Knew the fish were kind of going to be there, but I wasn't for sure. We ran from Nickajack Dam to Chickamauga Dam. Ended up winning the tournament by like 7 pounds. And he brought me my money. This is when I worked at Bass Pro. He brought me my money and our trophy to Bass Pro.
Michael Lindell, Tyler Thornberry, he wrote a book, and I don't really feel like
I'll
reading
go
the
back
book.
and read it. I'll go back and read it, and I'll text
Yeah,
him.
yeah. Um, but if it wasn't a novel, then I, I would have read it. But Michael Lindell says that he says, I have to go eat, best of luck with you on your journeys. And if you're ever in South Florida, hit him up. We can go catch bass, peacock, and giant pacu. Great show, guys.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Mike. I
thank you,
appreciate
sir.
it,
You
buddy.
be safe.
I'll holler at you later, man.
Yep. But right now we are sitting right at an hour, Ryan, and Tyler says, "Read it, Colin." So, all right.
Only if it's clean.
He says y'all are talking about about the river above Raccoon Mountain. Ryan is a hammer, and not knocking his knowledge. My knowledge on the river is this: from the end of May till the middle of September, the stretch between Raccoon Mountain and Moccasin Bend, 7 out of 10 trips you're gonna zero. As far as keepers, uh, it's hot, and TVA Harley pools water and leisure boats have that banks blown out by 11:30. And on the other hand, uh, I want in on that derby that y'all are scuffling up.
Tyler, I would greatly let you in, but I know if you get joined, I know I'm going to get beat. So I
Well, let's
can't
do
let
this.
that happen.
Let's do this. I get Tyler on the boat. You get Norman on the boat.
No, let me have Tyler.
No, no. You just said you didn't want him in on the tournament.
Hey,
I'm trying to get further
we're
in.
the guests. We're
Tyler's
the
al-
guests versus
poor, poor Tyler's already
the go
handicapped.
overs.
This
Poor
ain't
Tyler.
that Burger King.
Poor,
You can't have it your way, Ryan.
poor, poor Tyler's already handicapping himself, Ryan.
I'm putting that on I'm putting that on my boat now. It ain't Burger King. You can't have it your way.
Poor Tyler's already handicapping himself.
Yeah, if he fishes with Colin, I think he's going to handicap himself.
Yeah. No, that is how I'm going to take care of Nickajack, and then we'll go hammer some on Chickamauga or on Chickamauga.
So I think we should do this. So I'm gonna throw this out there. We should have a series between us.
Yeah.
We bring guests. We schedule some guests. We have some fun with it, but we have a point system. We have like a 5 tournament season.
Yeah, and let's do it. Let's do it to where we kind of have something to fish for.
Yeah,
I,
So,
and
I
like, let's
already,
do like
I
each
already know who
tournament.
my partner is. My partner's going to be Steve Burnett because Steve right now is kicking his son's ass every time he hits the lake with him.
Yeah, you can have him. You can have him. I'll just call Caleb.
that's cheating. You can't have guides.
Well, we got one on. Norman, you can't fish.
Norman ain't been here long enough.
Yeah, I
but
still
Love
got
him to
I
death.
need my feet wet up here.
but yeah, let's do that. But let's make it like a $20 turn like pot
Yeah,
for each
and
thing, and
we
then
film it. We film every tournament just to put on
yeah,
on all of our YouTube channels, and we make it where it's going to be very interesting. We have a little fun with it. We schedule either one tournament. We schedule guests, stuff like that.
yeah.
Which who knows who I can bring? That's the crazy part. I just have to find the
You
schedule.
Here's the thing. All our viewers that's watching us chit chat and BS around right now,
send me a message
we
if
are
you
going to
want.
behind the scenes. We're going to work out all the stipulations on how this thing's going to work, and
Yeah.
we're going to do a short video later on down the road, kind of telling everybody how
Yes.
it's going to work and what the
I,
rules are going to be, and
Tyler, you're fishing with me when we go to Nickajack.
and
That's it. I've
then we'll
already claimed him. Tyler's fishing with me when we go to Nickajack. But let's do this. All right, we're doing 5 tournaments, right?
Hmm.
Let's do like 5 tournaments. Like you pick a lake, I pick a lake, Norman pick a lake, and then we'll do Nickajack and Chickamauga.
Okay.
that'll work.
So, I mean, you've already got an advantage on Nickajack over all of us because you're out there on
Yeah.
Nickajack more than
No, he
we are.
doesn't, because I'm just going to follow his ass around all day.
It
I
don't
look up. Here
matter.
comes Norman.
Yeah. And it's not like you can't
Awesome.
see him.
Hey, don't tempt me. I'll do what y'all said. Unwrap the other boat and run around,
That's it. But yeah,
or
we can.
go get my grandpa's boat and run it.
Yeah. Uh, Aaron says it's dinner time. Great show, guys. See you tomorrow or see you Saturday, Ryan.
See you
So
Saturday, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron.
We're gonna
Appreciate
talk.
you.
We're gonna talk about your tournament here in a little bit, Aaron. I know we've ran over. We've had some fun. I know when we all get together, we all just have fun and
yeah,
we get
we
off
hadn't
topic a
even.
lot. We chase a rabbit.
Yeah, but Ryan, I hadn't even asked you even like a quarter of the questions that I was planning on asking you. But I mean, it's just everybody was just. I
Me,
was trying
me,
to get
me,
all the viewers
Colin
to.
and myself joke around all the time because usually our podcast we try to keep it right in about an hour, but we usually end up running. I think we've gone as
Hour
much as
15,
hour
hour
and
20.
45 minutes in the past. It's kind of funny, and we joke around about it all the time. Once we start talking fishing, because that's what we love to do. We love
Yeah,
talking about fishing.
Yeah,
That 5 minutes turns into an hour and a half pretty darn quick.
yeah.
yeah, and
So
it's one of those things. When I get on, I know people. I know the people that support me and people that follow me love to have fun and they love to comment and text and
yeah,
always just bring more stuff to where we
yeah.
talk and have fun
So
with it.
hey, what about this idea? Let's have our viewers, and we'll ask our social media,
Hmm.
like Facebook, Instagram, and all that,
Hey,
YouTube.
Free
Have
Lakes.
them message us because, like, if we're gonna get to pick a lake, so we might be able to. I mean, we can't go like too far away, but I mean, but let's have like our viewers like say, "Hey, I want to fish with you," and we could either are fishing the tournament with y'all, and let's pick the names and let's draw like you draw who you're fishing with.
That'll
That would
work.
be cool. That would be really cool because
That'd
I
be
know
awesome.
there's a bunch of guys out there that
Because I don't
want to
want you
have the
bringing
opportunity
Joey.
to go out there.
I don't want you
So
bringing Joey.
I could bring Joey Cifuentes, Kyle Welcher, Dustin Connell, Jacob Wheeler, Mark Daniels Jr. Who is, and I'm not saying that to be like, oh, I know them guys. It's just super cool that I'm actually being able to get in the boat with them guys
Right.
and become great friendships with them guys, and truly turn them into like a family like a brother.
And you said it perfect right there, Ryan. You look at a lot of these big name guys out there on tour right now. Uh, whether you fish at their level or what we're doing, your local weekend anglers, it's all one big family. Most all those guys on tour will sit down and talk to anybody and spend time with them, spend hours with them, and create a friendship with them guys. So it's all about what we do as fishermen.
Yeah.
Whether you fish at a professional level or weekend angler or local stuff, it's one
Hit
big
me.
family, man.
I just nailed my knee. Ryan's over there just laughing. That
I, I didn't see that. Could you do that again? Instant replay for me?
no, that's hurt. But
I seen his face cringe up, and I was like, I know what he just done.
I'm glad because I thought Ron was laughing at my ass for a while there.
well, most of the time it is. But
No, that's
uh,
Colin. I don't laugh at Norman.
but yeah, let's do something like that. I mean, because
Let's do that. So I actually want to do that instead of like us picking who we go with.
yeah,
Let's have your viewers and people on my Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that.
let's let's have Kim also, and we'll draw at Jack's.
Yeah,
Uh,
we'll go in there, do a live
yeah,
video,
and
And
have
then
her
and
do like a live saying, "Hey, this is what's going on. We
yep,
got Ryan, Norman, and Colin is doing a tournament, a 5 series tournament, and do we want them to put $20 in on it too?"
that's just make it us because I don't want to put somebody in that
Yeah,
situation where they're like I don't want
right.
to
Well,
just cause they would be like,
but let's have Kim say, "Hey, this is what they're doing. They're doing a
hmm
5 lake tournament, uh, and we're trying to get a bunch of people. If you want your name in the pot to be able to fish these tournaments, we're going to draw, and we can have Kim draw for each of us and stuff.
yeah,
yeah.
So, because
That
I
I
think
think
that
that's gonna be. I think that would be better. I think I like that a little bit better. And
Yeah.
I think whoever draws, whoever gets drawn with us is going to learn a bunch, and they're going to learn a lot. And the
Yeah.
cool part is they're going to get on camera. They're going to get on YouTube and stuff like that, and be able to be like, this is what we done because we're going to film every one of these tournaments and put them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, and it's off the subject, and I know you'll know, is there like a waterproof bag that's big enough to where I can put my PFD in? Because I opened my hatch today, and I had one that went.
Yeah. So I think I don't. I'm not for sure if Bass Pro still has them. Back when I worked there over a year and a half ago, they did have a big enough waterproof bag for your life jackets.
I know they have them
But
out there. I'm not sure what
yeah,
company makes them, but there is some out there.
Yeah.
yeah.
I was just thinking about because I was like, man, I gotta go get me another one of them
I got
cans.
to go get me a cylinder too.
I just
I
think how
blew one of
funny
mine
that would
up.
have been when you went out and opened your locker and seen that thing inflated.
So
I
I
was
can
like,
tell.
what's yellow?
I thought you were going to get off.
I'm gonna jump off subject real fast. I'm gonna tell y'all a quick story about my first Bassmaster Open back in what year was that? 2020, 2021. I fished on Lake Cherokee. I was like, I want to fish one just to learn the guys, see who I'm gonna get to fish with. And I actually was sitting there with my life jacket on, and the boy I drew was a buddy of mine. And we were sitting there, and it's raining the day one of the tournament. It's raining, and it goes,
I know where this is going.
and a buddy of mine sitting beside me, he goes, "Did you bring an extra life jacket?" I said, "No." He goes, "Here," and he hands me one. Well, the dude that the buddy of mine that I drew was like, "You're rubber ducky now." So in his phone and like six other people's, it's rubber ducky in their phone.
It's being changed on mine right this second.
Do
Uh,
it.
let's see. Um, crap. Oh, I have a story too about it. I was out fishing with a buddy of mine, and this was 8 or 9 years ago, and he had like an old oh shoot glass astro glass, I think that's what it was.
Hmm.
um, and so it did not have rod locker, or it had a rod locker, but it was in the like in between the two consoles in the floor, right? But you had like the lockers like how you do up on the deck. The deck was not that big, but it was big enough that he could put his like he was able to put two of his life jackets in. Well, he'd always put his rods on the driver's side, and so we were fishing a tournament, and it comes a downpour, and the next thing I know, we're going down the river. In which, I mean, we say going down the river. In that boat, it was like 45 miles an hour. But next thing we know, like the rod locker just goes poof like this, dumps 6 rods that he had on his deck over the boat. Lost. He had to fish the rest of the tournament with my rods because his life jacket uh, it exploded because the water got down into the his little locker, and and
Yeah.
which you might know the dude. You
Who's
might.
that?
Eric Nelson.
I've heard that name.
But the thing about it is that was not the first time that happened to him.
All right, now that
That's when you. That's when you.
we're telling life jacket stories, I got to get mine in here.
Yeah.
Coastal Series event, Okeechobee. The morning of day one of the tournament, first day of the event, uh, 35 mile an hour winds in Okeechobee. And for all our viewers that are not familiar with Okeechobee, basically, if the wind's blowing in the right direction, it's like the Gulf of Mexico. If you're out there and looking across, you can't see land. If you're in the middle, land disappears, just like if you're in the ocean. And it can blow up because it's a shallower body of water, too, but it's big. So anyway, make a long story short, tornadoes. I think that day, I think they were saying there was like 16 tornadoes that was actually spotted that touched on the water spout spotted by tournament competitors, and that was like 1 or 2 years prior Nowadays with or with the MLF and the BASS, now they actually cancel and postpone days. Back
Hmm.
then, it was on the angler to play it safe. They didn't postpone back then like 7 8 years ago like they do today. Okay, so they ran the tournament 35 mile an hour. About halfway through the day, I had my limit. I had my co-angler was a small girl, and she basically had an inflatable life jacket on that she wore all day. But it was pretty much raining steady all day long. I had a limit. She didn't have a fish, so I looked back at her and I told her, I says, you know what, this is bull crap. I says, we were fighting the wind, rain, all that. I says, let's run back up. There's a canal called Indian Prairie Canal. It's basically inset in a ditch. So if you look up on the land's actually about 15, 20 foot above where you're actually fishing at because it's kind of down in a ditch.
Hmm.
We ran up there. I did have some fish on the Carolina rig, a lot of rock bank up there. So we ran up there and started fishing. And what they say about tornadoes, as far as it sounded like a freight train, first-hand experience, spot on. I heard something different happening, and I looked back and I told my co-angler, I said, hit the deck quick and hang on, and we done that. And we both face planted in the cockpit. When I lucked up after the noise got over with, my boat from where it sat before this in the Indian Prairie Canal was a 180. We didn't turn around. What happened was it went straight over top of us, lifted my boat. This only thing that could have happened, and basically 180'd it and set it back down because I felt weightless for about 2 seconds. And
Wow.
we got up. I was actually facing the complete opposite direction, and the canal was only 30 foot wide, so it's not like it could have went out and around. So anyway, in the story, about 20 minutes later, I heard a shotgun go off, and I'm like, oh shit, somebody's shooting at us. And I look back, and again, she's a small girl, and I look back, and she looked like a snapping turtle coming out of her shell. And I'm laughing my ass off, and I says, "Don't, I'm not laughing at you, but if you were looking at what I'm looking at, you'd be laughing too." That's my life best story of the
That's super crazy to think about. That is how fast the weather can change out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
So,
yeah.
uh, Kim says we need to have Ryan Godsey on again soon. Yeah, I
Yeah.
tell you, we need to have him on again, but it's not going to be soon because we're already booked. We're booking into almost or through December. Like we're
Yeah.
midway of
Throughout
December.
the rest of the year, we're actually down to I think 4 open dates right now throughout the last day of
Yeah.
December.
So
And I understand where Kim's coming from because normally we had this happen last time. We get on that little train of chasing the rabbit, and we'll go down a rabbit hole and come back on another one and go back down another one. But that's just how I am, and everybody knows that is when I start talking, I'll go one way, and then I'll change the whole subject and go a whole nother way, and it's just this way and that way and that way.
What we could do though, as it gets closer to our little 5 tournament series, is we could always go this route and do a special edition of the Deck Talk podcast, which would be a special
Yeah.
edition on
yeah,
a different
yeah,
day
we
than
we
live.
definitely need to do that. To at
Yeah.
least even if we just record a video just with us doing it and
Yeah.
not go live, we can
Yeah,
record
and
it.
just do a
Yeah.
Yeah.
pre-recorded special edition.
Um,
Be fun.
but let's say Kim says calling a May can help you. Let me check into this. I'll get back with you. So I think she's talking about. She texted that right after we said something about having the drawing there at Jack's.
Yeah.
So she says that's awesome, guys. Y'all are doing a great job.
Yeah.
So,
Appreciate it.
but
And
go ahead, go ahead.
I wanted to say this. I know there's a lot of people out there that's watching. If and I know there was a few people that probably wanted to hear the questions that y'all had. Uh, but when we put us three together, we're just we're all close friends, and we all want to have a good time. And
Yeah,
we don't get to
it's
see each
going to
we
be a
don't get to
competition.
we
It
don't get to
definitely
see
will.
each other as much. So it's
Yeah,
gonna be that. So
yeah. It's
I
gonna.
truly think this little. I'm glad we all talked about this. I'm glad. I hope this little 5 tournament series will be a.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
I,
Yeah.
and Norman, you cannot have your lake as Lake Placid.
I'm not going to Florida.
Hey, but getting back to what Ryan was saying, when me and Colin was trying to, before we actually went, when Deck Talk podcast was still in the planning stages back in the day, it seems like it's been like 15 years ago now, but it's only been what about 7 or 8 months since our
Yeah.
first episode. But we're trying to hem and haw about what we're going to call the podcast, and finally we both decided on Deck Talk. And the reason for that is, what is Deck Talk? It's basically two or three friends getting out on the water, just chit chatting on the deck, something that friends do besides when they're out fishing. Of course, also friends give it to each other, all in a friendly manner when you're fishing, because we're tournament anglers, we're competitive people. Whether you're my friend or not, I'm going to try to beat you, and
Yeah.
that's what it's all about. It's about
When
the
the boat numbers are called,
when you're on the deck of the boat fishing. But and again, we're all friends, but at the same time, we all want to win. But that's what kind of makes it fun, is we're
yeah,
able to kind of sock it to everybody else in a friendly manner, and it makes it fun. It's what puts fun in fishing, you
Yeah.
know.
So
And
let's do
yeah.
this. Let's do
it
this.
goes back to what a podcast is called, Deck Talk.
Yeah. Well, and then real quick on that, sometimes we actually have our guest that's actually on the deck of the boat. So
Yeah.
I mean,
We could do it. We could we could have a little. I got to talk to Wheeler. I don't know how they did it. So do y'all remember when they done the challenges on the
Yeah.
lake?
see, that's what we done a bruiser bait challenge, and Norman he figured it out. He was able to do like the time clock and actually able to do each scale of because like we weighed the fish,
Hmm.
and so we wrote down what the fish weighed. So he was able, as we caught him, he was able to do like the score tracker and do fix the score
Yeah, I
tracker.
kind
Okay.
of I kind of copied it off of the way Jacob done it
Yeah,
back when there was the pandemic, and basically fishing was closed down except for hitting the
yeah,
lake. Other than there's no more
Yeah.
tournaments at the time, so I
yeah,
kind of took a little bit from the way Jacob done it, and also a little bit from the MLF actually, and
yeah.
it actually came out really well.
So, but
Check
let's
it out too. It's the Bruiser Bait Challenge.
yeah. So let's do this. Let's plan here about the middle of September. Let's pick like a day. We'll go to Jack's. Well, all three of us will meet there at Jack's. We'll let Kim know when we're going to do this. But let's go and let's do a Facebook live, and we'll have Kim do a Facebook live also.
Yeah.
But let's go because we know with out of the five, we know two of them right now with Nickajack and Chickamauga.
Yep.
So
So I'm gonna throw a third one in there. I'm gonna throw a third one in there, and maybe a fourth one. Let's stay on the Tennessee River. Let's go Watts Bar, Chickamauga, Nickajack, Gunnersville.
you're kind of kicking out one of the lakes I was wanting to go to.
You can have number 5, or you could. It depends. Watts Bar is not fishing as good as it should.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's not. You're totally right on that. But I mean, would you want to go to Gunnersville if you can't throw a frog?
Yeah.
Okay. I
I
mean,
went
I'm
there.
down for whatever.
I went there. I was lucky enough to be able to fish the Toyota there this year in February. I
Yeah,
learned a ton there that time of year.
yeah.
Hey
So
guys, let's go ahead and to be continued on our conversation to kind
yeah,
of
we got to finish this up. So when
Yeah,
we get
that's what I was gonna say. We're gonna have to
what
go.
I got to do before it gets dark, and if I don't get these honeydews done, I'll be in trouble.
you be all right.
I don't want his
but yeah,
wife coming after me. I didn't do it.
yeah, she'll come after me. Uh, but Ryan, when we get done with this, stay on for a little bit,
Okay.
and I got to chit chat with you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, let's wrap this up so Norman don't get beat with a wooden broom.
Well,
yeah, and the cool part is, I know y'all can. We're gonna. I'll put us on my stuff. I'll go back and put a timestamp when I share this. I'll put a timestamp stamp where we started asking questions. If people want to sit there and listen to this, because I know we got off on a tangent, and that's part of it.
Well, we knew that's what was going to happen, though. I
We
mean,
did,
it
and
even
we
happened.
all were like, "Ah."
Yeah, it even happened like when we done the last one with you at Jack's. It even, I mean, but but yeah, let's wrap it up. I can actually smell the food, my dinner getting ready, and so
I
that's when
think I
I
can
know.
smell it from my house.
Yeah, you probably can, but yeah, let's go on and let's wrap this up. And but Norman, do you want to tell everybody who we got coming on next week?
pull that
I
stuff.
can do it if you.
He
Hang
said,
on,
I gotta remember. Hang on, wait a minute.
hang
Yeah,
on.
I mean we've been talking.
We've been
We
talking to 20 people a day. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
all right. Let me see where we are here. What's next week? I'm already in October. All right, next week. Two.
That was
All right.
September.
September.
I'm ready. You gotta bear with me here. Next week is September 7th. All right, yeah, we got a cool episode coming on next week, guys. Hank, the Bass Geek, is going to be on. If y'all don't know Hank, he is a YouTube legend.
Hmm.
So make sure you check out our
And
podcast next week. And remember, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, same bat time, same bat channel, Thursday.
yeah, so if you don't know who Bass Geek is, go check him out on YouTube. He is very informative on teaching, especially like different techniques and stuff like that. So we're going to get him. We're going to break things down with him and have him break things down. I guess he's going to break it down,
Yeah,
and we're going to talk about. There's some baits and stuff that I want to talk about to see and just have him just break that down for us. So it's going to be more or less like a study session for us instead of like how today was just more or less just us just having fun with Ryan, chit
yeah.
chatting,
I
and
know
go.
Hank personally, and I know him very personally. And me and him met a few years ago at the East Tennessee Fishing Show, and
Great guy.
super nice guy. He will teach you a bunch. But I actually, a video popped up, a suggested video popped up from a long time ago from his videos at the East Tennessee Fishing Show. I was young. I was very young.
Yeah,
That's all I gotta say.
yeah.
But yeah,
So
let's
guys, you do what?
go ahead.
So guys, you do not want to miss it. I mean, because again, we are booked in between like up until like into December.
Yeah.
So and we
A
got
little bit of a rundown too. The next week after Hank, we actually have Clay Dyer coming on. If you have not, guys, viewers, if you have not seen Clay Dyer, watch some and pull Clay Dyer up on YouTube.
it's
The
amazing what
most
he's
unbelievable angler you'll ever want to see. But yeah, Clay Dyer will be on. We got Keith Chensney, owner of Proline Baits. Great product, great scent. He has out there. We have Warren Page coming on with Power Core Custom Rods, and Warren is going to actually come from Florida. He's going to be in house for that episode. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming up. I'm not going to give the dates, but we have Michael Iconelli going to be on here sometime coming up pretty quick. Like I say, I'm not going to give the dates, but he's coming up. We got Bobby Lane coming up. Just talked to Adrian Avina earlier today. He's going to be coming on. Just waiting to hear back for what day we're going to lock him in. He's having to check his schedule. So we got a lot of hammers coming on. A lot of cool episodes going to be coming up.
yeah. So and that's just some of the people. I mean, we've reached out.
That's just a handful right now. We have quite a bit more that's actually going to be coming on as well, going into the beginning of the year. So
Yeah,
When y'all have Adrian on, when y'all have Adrian on, I might just call him and like just let him know how fun this one is because Adrian was the first like part of the group, the Jacob Wheeler, the Ding Squad, as everybody knows them.
Yeah.
He was the first one I got in the boat with here on Lake Nickajack after the Bassmaster Classic a few years ago.
And also, before we go off, myself, Colin, we want to give a big shout out, a big congratulations to Patrick Walters for pulling
Yes.
that victory out. His last
But
tournament, winning his second championship belt, the first angler to win a championship belt with limits of largemouth and limits of smallmouth. The biggest smallmouth weight on record recorded in professional bass fishing history. But myself and Colin feel pretty good about this one because we feel like we're part of that victory. No, I
but
just
we called it. We
we
called it though.
okay. Patrick was on our podcast right before they done the Northern Swing, and me and Colin pretty much called it. We said, Patrick, you are going to win one of their smallmouth events. When you
And I
did,
told him he was going to get over 100 pounds, and he's like, "Nah."
yep.
So,
So me and Colin feel like we're part of that win. All kidding aside, right? But yeah, congratulations goes to my buddy Patrick
and
Walker.
also, I mean, again, we want to say congrats to Kyle Welcher
And
and
yes, amen on that.
Joey Fuentes.
Yeah.
Joey, if y'all don't know the Cowboy, uh, you have to watch some of his videos and stuff like that. But I see the stuff like what his career and stuff like that. I mean, it is phenomenal, especially to come out and win two events in your rookie year like that.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
I got a quick.
Rookies on tour this year killed it. Unbelievable. 4 out of the 8 tournaments were won by rookies this year.
Yeah,
That's
that's
super.
great.
That's super crazy too to hear about that.
That's
Yeah.
never happened before. And
Yeah.
what made it real interesting coming down to that last event was Joey Sequentes going into day 3 didn't have it locked up. Or actually even going into day 4, the championship Sunday, because one of the anglers, one of the Japan anglers, if he had to win day 4, but if he won it, he would actually win Rookie of the Year over Joey. So it came down to like the last day of the event.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a quick little thing to talk about Joey Fuentes. So I was actually very lucky enough to fish with him in the Bassmaster Opens when right as he qualified the year he qualified. The first day of the year, the first Bassmaster Open, day 1. We go out on Lake Toho, which I think Norman knows a little bit about.
Yeah.
And he done something that I've never seen anybody do. And I asked him if I could finally talk about it. He said yes, because the fish wasn't there day 2 and day 3. He was actually live scoping a jerk bait in a grass hole, in a hole.
Really?
And if anybody remembers this, I posted it. I think a lot of people posted it. Joey Cifuentes had 29 pounds day 1. The biggest like sack I've ever seen weighed in. The biggest sack I've ever seen caught. And he goes, the first thing out of his mouth, he goes, "I got a 9-pounder. Don't scream." He goes, he said, "I'm not gonna put the responsibility of you grabbing this fish." He said, "But when I get it in, just look at it, put it in the whale, and we're gonna go to the next cast." 5 casts in a row, 29 pounds. Amazing. Joey actually is super cool to watch.
Yeah. He is. I mean that. But again, like to do what he done this year, nobody has ever done that.
That just doesn't happen, man. It takes a lot of your seasoned veteran pros, 10 or 12 seasons to be able to accomplish their second win.
Yeah.
So what Joey done in his rookie season, I mean, just sky's the limit for what his career is going to be.
Yeah. He's gonna have a lot of trophies.
I think he's gonna have a bunch.
Yeah. So, but we've already hit an hour and a half. But this is one of our longest podcasts. But
I was about to say I want to be the longest podcast for right now.
yeah.
And
It's one up.
before we wrap up, too, shout out again, Bruiser Baits, sponsoring
Yes, thank you,
bait of this episode. Make sure, guys, go to bruiserbait.com or bruiserbaits.com with an S, bruiserbaitsplural.com with an S. Check them out. Also, their sister company, www.bassaddictiongear.com. And when you do, don't forget, key in at checkout that discount code DECKTALK10. You get instant savings on top of your order. But remember, DECKTALK10. But go to their website, check them out. Baits that work no matter where you are. Or no matter what state you're in, no matter what water you're fishing, you'll find baits that work. Bruiser baits.
Yeah, exactly. But Ryan, brother, man, it has been a blast. Who would have known that starting this podcast that we're going to be doing a little five lake tournament?
Oh
Thank you,
yeah,
buddy.
and
We appreciate the fire starter there.
Yeah.
we got a
So,
war started now.
but yeah, Ryan, man, it has been we're definitely gonna have to get you on again, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to like mute all of our so I can at least ask you the questions I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, I wanna sit down and actually sit down with y'all and actually have where we can answer questions, because I know there's a lot of people that really want to know about my career and
Yeah,
how I started and what I've over
yeah.
the last year and a half or 2 years of what I've been able to do.
Yeah.
So
What we
it's
can
super
do
cool.
is we can do a special edition Deck Talk podcast where it's just a Q&A.
Oh,
Just
you
Yeah,
know what we can do?
a
Hey,
question and answer period.
we're gonna do like one live at Jack's again
Yeah.
for the autism anglers, to where we can raise stuff. I mean,
yep, I'm gonna be there
uh,
for that one.
so what we'll do, we'll just have you come on and just be part of us
Yeah.
there while
Yeah,
we're
and we'll
there.
we'll do the Q&A right there in front of people. And if
Yeah,
people want to ask questions that are there, we'll have
yeah,
them ask catch one. That would be super cool. So
Yeah, it's
yeah.
gonna be
So
awesome.
let's plan that, because we've been Kim. We're scheduling it to where we can talk to Kim because
yep,
we're going to get some kind of like poster or whatever made to where we can have it up to where we can kind of advertise for it also. But
yes,
then we need to make sure that we're going to put on the poster that that the three of us is going to be on there.
yep.
So sounds good, brother, man. My belly is growling. Fat boy's hungry.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hang on after we go off live, Ryan. Hang on a couple minutes.
I
yeah.
will.
So guys, we appreciate it, especially hanging on for almost an hour and 40 minutes. And man, we just hope to see y'all out on the water. So if you see a camus flying down the river, it may just be Ryan. So
Okay, guys,
follow
hang
him.
on. Here, I'm gonna jump off this boat real fast. So I've been sitting in my boat the whole time.
Yeah,
I'm gonna jump off my boat and I'm gonna let y'all see it, because I know there's a bunch of people that have not seen it since it got wrapped.
yeah.
So let's hop off here. And Colin has not. So let's hop off here. So this
Oh
is the new wrap. So this is the new
man,
wrap.
that's almost makes you dizzy to be honest with you. Or it
It
might just
does, and if it's going 70 miles an hour, it makes you real dizzy.
yeah, but that is sweet.
And
Who's
guys, when I got this boat, it did not have power poles on it. So we just put power poles on it this week, guys. So
yeah.
that's what makes it stand out a little bit more.
I
And
can you do me a favor, Ryan? Show
yeah,
the deck of your boat to show
yeah,
like
let me
how
hop up there.
massive that thing is.
Yeah, let me hop up there. So, guys, I mean, the front deck is giant. I have the cover of the boat just laying on one corner, and it's folded up very awkwardly, but I can lay
That's for a
across this boat.
21-foot boat, guys.
No, this is a 20. This is
Oh,
a
20 foot.
CX. Yep, this is a CX20, and I actually do this for y'all. I'm trying to get rods ready for this weekend, so I got them laying everywhere. But guys, look how much storage I have up in the front of this Camus.
That's ridiculous.
Guys, I have a ton of boxes like up there. Like, I have extra rod storage up there too, but I've got line here, boxes all the way back, some
And
soft plastics here.
shout out to you, Ryan, too. Very, very well organized. And there's one thing about being a tournament competitive angler is organization is key. And
Yes.
you see a lot of pros at the highest level look in their boat, and it's like, how in the heck do they find something? But shout out to you, dude. That is a very well organized.
I can actually say something. Over the last like 2 weeks with the hot weather we've had here, I've been able to get in the boat and actually clean it. So It wasn't like that like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. But Ryan, thank
But
you again,
guys,
man, for coming
Yeah,
on.
thank you,
It
brother.
has been a
Appreciate it.
blast. But again, guys,
I've had a
we're going to
great
let
time
y'all
with y'all.
know. We're going to schedule it, and we'll have it out on all of our platforms to let y'all know when we're going to do that. And what it's going to be is like if you got any kind of old baits, old rods, or if you go into Jack's and you want to purchase some baits from there and to give to us, um, that's what we're doing. We're trying to uh, raise awareness for the autism, and there's the group that we work with is called Autism Anglers. Great, they kind of send out like the monster bass boxes or mystery box and stuff like that. They send out little shoe boxes of baits and stuff like that, and then if they get some rods, they're able to ship out the rods to them. So that's how what they're doing, but we're helping them raise or to get baits for that cause. So we will let you know when we're going to do that. Um, we again, I mean, I think Ryan he said he wanted the longest podcast that we've had, and I think he's got it now. But guys,
I'll
thank.
break this record one day.
Oh, we'll break it here when we do the thing at Jack's. But and you don't have to wait to drop off stuff for the autism anglers. Jack's, uh, Kim just said Jack's uh, well, that they have been for us, the drop
Drop.
off location for us to be able to get the stuff. So even before, if you want to clean out your, that's a good way to be able to tell your wife, be like, hey, I just donated all this bait and stuff to Autism Anglers. One, it's a good cause. Your wife's going to think is going to be happy for you, and then you're going to be like, but I got to go to Jack's and I got to spend some money to get some more baits. So it's a win-win for you guys. So, but we're gonna get off here. My belly's growling. Norman's belly's about to eat through his spine.
I got an escapee pussycat that knows she's not supposed to be down here, but she knows that I can't do nothing until we end this thing. So I got to go track down my escapee pussycat and get her
Yep, yep.
back in the ring.
So, guys, man, we deeply appreciate y'all, especially staying on for the longest episode that we've had, and thank you for asking the questions. I kind of had to cut some of the questions off because it did go down to many rabbit holes. But man, we hope to see y'all out on the water. If you see us out on the water, do not be shy to come up and say hey to us. Um,
Yeah,
because we
stop and
just
say
left
hi to
off.
me. I like having people come up to me and say
Yeah,
hi. And tell me where you see me at. If y'all see me on this podcast, tell me where you see me at because
yeah,
it's greatly appreciated.
yeah. So, but guys, go hey real quick, and then after you do this, we got to get off of here. But tell them where they can look you up, Ryan.
Yeah, you guys, y'all can follow me on Instagram at Ryan Godsey Fishing. Y'all can follow me on Facebook at Ryan Godsey Fishing or my regular Facebook page, Ryan Godsey. Also on YouTube at Ryan Godsey Fishing on YouTube.
Sounds
Awesome.
good, guys.
Awesome.
Hey, again, hope to see y'all out on the water. Tight lines, guys.
Live the passion.
Tight lines.